Happy New Year and welcome to another episode of Beyond Insights. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at the hidden power of administration and why mastering the basics drives practice success. And we'll be speaking with Sue van der Valk. Sue is a partner at MGI Base Gordon and Xero's MVP of the Year for 2024. She heads up MGI Base Gordon's family office and cloud accounting space, dividing her time between assurance and family office clients, growing the cloud accounting space, and getting involved in recruitment and marketing. She loves tech and can easily assess and determine which application will work well for the team. Sue also believes that administration and management are key skills, as well as holistically supporting one's team and the practice in many areas. As she says, being accessible is as important as it is necessary. So without further ado, let's go beyond insight.
You're listening to Beyond Insights, your go-to podcast for all things accounting, business, and technology.
From cybersecurity and AI innovations to sustainability and work-life balance, we've got you covered.
We host insightful guests from different backgrounds, industries, and locations all around the world.
From this diversity of thought, we aim to find solutions to some of our most pressing business problems.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in and go beyond insights.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Sue. Ready to dive into some questions?
No, absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity. This is great.
So starting maybe with some questions on core skills. Why do you believe that administration and management are key skills for success in the accounting space?
I think the big thing is that in the accounting space, it's very compliance driven. So there's a lot of regulation that is around our space and obviously meeting the various deadlines, particularly with SARS and Sub-C. And if your administration skills are not where it needs to be, you could end up missing those deadlines, which has got quite a significant impact on your clients and you. So definitely need to have those skills up there.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of these management and administrative skills that are particularly important, such as time management? What would you say are the really key skills?
Yeah, so time management is obviously important because we all working to the time in the day, and we only have so many hours that we can get through things. But another for me is communication. For me is, especially with my team, is I want them to keep communicating with me as to how they're doing, where they are, what are the issues that they're having, because you can't prioritize time or work that needs to be done if you don't have that information. So that for me is very key, and you need to be honest about it. Yes. I don't, you can't pretend that everything's okay and then it's not, and then you're really scrambling to get things sorted out. And I think, the attention to detail, especially because of the compliance environment that we're in, we really do need to make sure that we are focused on the detail and doing the right, preparing the right information. You definitely don't want to be hitting those penalties that are coming through. And I think also we need to learn skills of how to solve problems. And I know that sounds like a bit of a strange management skill, but it really is more of that softer skill that you need to have, because clients rely on us to solve their problems and assist them with what they're struggling with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think in terms of solving problems, it helps to be able to break down the problem into sort of its smaller component parts, figure
Absolutely.
out, yeah, from there, not just feel overwhelmed by, this looks like a massive problem.
Yeah, and I think, again, with anything that you're working on, if you're not managing the process properly, that overwhelmed feeling comes in very quickly. So the better you are at managing is easier to manage the overwhelm, which happens. Yeah, it certainly does happen.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Then I guess, from your perspective, what does it look like to master the basics as an accountant or as a firm leader?
It was actually quite an interesting question, and I've had a bit of reflection on this. And one thing that I have realized is that mastering the skills isn't set in stone. It is something that is going to change over time. You need to be willing to be fluid with your skills and how it is, because something that could work today is not maybe going to be relevant tomorrow. And I think especially with the tech that's coming out there and the tools that are becoming available, you actually need to have a look at it and be aware of it and keep learning and growing. And as much as we want our staff to learn and grow, we need to keep learning and growing and mastering our skills. It's I think very important to make sure that we're doing something that is practical and that is relevant in the time. So, and I hate to sort of give people something to say, well, this is the tool that you must use, or this is how you must use a skill, because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for someone else. Obviously, there are key principles that one can apply, but it is just something that you actually need to work on yourself and develop.
Yeah, I think that's something I've definitely learned from a lot of these discussions that I've been having since we've started the podcast, is that as much as you've mastered, accounting, the principles, maybe you understand tax, or
Yes,
the thing that you really need to master is being able to adapt and being able to learn new things and keep learning new things,
absolutely.
because it's really, you have to be quite agile these days to keep up with what's going on.
Definitely. I think especially with the changes that are coming through in our environment, if we just have a look at what's happened in the tax space in the last year, if I look at the tax space that we've had the changes that have come through this year, you really have had to adapt and really be agile, as you say, with the changes, because if you keep the processes the way that they were, there's just no way that you are going to be able to stay compliant or help your clients stay compliant. So it really
Oh,
is just adapting all the time.
awesome. And then in terms of maybe something a bit more practical, how do you manage to balance administrative responsibilities with sort of higher level strategic goals like growing the cloud in your practice?
Yeah. For me, it's really about having the right team to support me. So I know that I've got the team where I can hand over a task, trust them to do what is necessary. They can obviously check in with me. I check in with them on a regular basis. So pretty much all my teams within a 2-week cycle, I'll have at least one meeting with them, if not more, just to get an update as to what is happening. And I think that's the thing is you do need to be able to delegate your tasks. You can't do everything. We just don't have enough time. We don't have the capacity to do that. So being able to delegate is important, and then checking in and helping the team prioritize, because things change. Client today says no, it's fine, it's not urgent, but tomorrow all of a sudden it is, and you then need to be able to juggle whatever is needed. So being able to release that responsibility and that administration really does just buy me some time where I can then focus on things like growing our cloud practice or just enhancing our offering and improving our services.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things that I know a lot of people in leadership positions really struggle with, being able to delegate responsibilities and trust that other members of their team are going to be able to fulfill those roles or complete those tasks that they're used to doing themselves. I don't
Absolutely.
know if you have any suggestions for people who struggle to delegate, how they can kind of get over that.
It's start off small, and build the trust with the individual that you are delegating to. The biggest, I think, gift that you can give to someone is really allowing them to take ownership and take responsibility, and with it they can grow and they can develop and then build up that relationship. But it's being there, being supportive, um, in that sometimes, well, in the beginning, you may have to have that regular check-in. How are you doing? Show me what you're doing. Explain.
Right.
And then with trust and seeing that they are more than competent to do it, you can actually let it go. And that's when the check-in comes in, tell me where you are, how it's going, then you can feel at ease to actually delegate. I think sometimes people think that delegation is more abdication. You're not just giving it away and hoping that someone else is going to run with it and not actually follow up. Ultimate responsibility will be with you as the leader.
Yeah, definitely. It's still up to you to make sure that they've done everything correctly
Correct.
and on time and all of that.
Absolutely. But you don't have to do everything.
Yeah. And then you are able to dedicate your time to things that only you can do.
Correct. Yeah, which is much more meaningful and much more productive, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And then in terms of thinking a bit about your team and culture, how does prioritizing administration contribute to a stronger and more cohesive team?
Well, as I said, allowing people to take responsibility for their tasks, it just increases their accountability. And with that, people feel that they're contributing to the team, to the greater good. And if you're reflecting on what their contribution has been and what that impact is, I think people will want to contribute more.
Yes.
And of course, making sure that you've got the right people doing the right work. It doesn't help that say you've got let's say the PA that's going to be doing the cloud accounting kind of work. You've got the right people doing the right work. And also just give them a little bit of freedom to work out what works for them. And as I said earlier, I don't necessarily want to say be prescriptive on my management skills because my way of doing things could be very different to someone else. But being there and guiding them and supporting them in how they're finding the process that suits them, I think that has a greater contribution to how they feel about what they're doing. And they can build on their efficiencies and their own process.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's something really empowering as an employee who's, especially if you're starting out, in being allowed to like have a bit of trial and error, figure out what works for you, like what you're actually good at. Maybe there's something you were really hesitant to do, but then you find you're quite good at doing it or you quite enjoy doing it and you're learning a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, that excites you. You know, when you do feel that you are learning, you are growing. It does give you that sense of accomplishment, and that's great. I mean, for me, that's a win.
Yeah, definitely. And then you want to contribute more to the team now that you feel like you have something to contribute.
Absolutely, for sure.
So, in what ways does being accessible as a leader tie into effective administration and team support? I know being accessible is a big thing for you.
Yes, no, it really is. In our practice, we do talk about our open door policy, which really is important. We want people to feel free to come and have those honest conversations. You know, if you have made a mistake, I would rather know about it that we can deal with it than it escalates to a point that everyone is just really upset. You know, and if anything is going on in your life that could impact your work, again, building that kind of relationship with the team just allows them to have those conversations. So, you know, that for me, when I have my team check in, it's not just about the work. It really is more of a holistic thing. How are you coping? What can we do to support you? What do you need to learn? Is there something where you've got a shortcoming? And I think that just again builds the team and will help us provide different skills to the team that they can do what they need to do at the best level they can.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's really important, showing that you see someone as a person and not just sort of a cog in the machine, like someone who's just there to get the work done, like you see
Absolutely.
them more holistically.
Yeah. No, and I think with that, when someone does have a difficult day, because let's be honest, this industry is tough, and
Yeah.
there some days that are certainly are harder than others. If you can have that relationship and have that environment where someone said it really is a tough day, you can help them be a little bit more positive and see that we can get over it, work together, and build that support within the team.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where those communication skills that you were talking about earlier, that's where they really also come into play.
Absolutely. Very definitely. Yeah, very key. One of our partners, he does our standing orders talk every beginning of the year, and it always says on your one eyelid you must tattoo communication, because that is so important. When you close your eyes, you must see it.
I love that. No, definitely. I think it's something that people often overlook as well when they're very focused, especially I think students, on learning
Yes.
kind of all of the technical skills.
Yeah.
And then you go into the workforce and don't realize just how important some of these soft skills are.
No, very definitely. And they find it hard. And I think sometimes it's a reflection on, or students or even staff members feel it's a reflection on them, that they actually, if they ask or if they communicate, say that they're struggling, that it's a bad reflection and we'll
Yes.
think worse of them, which is not the case, because all we want to do is support them in their growth and in their journey to become better, more empowered, more experienced, more knowledgeable people. So yeah, it is tough.
Why do you think that administration is often overlooked as a driver of success, especially in accounting practices?
Sometimes I wonder if the focus is not just on too much is on the productivity. So we've got to be productive, which means we've got to do the work, which will drive the fees, which will drive the cash flow. But not having that right administration process in the business is going to cause issues. So you can do all the work and you can bring all the money in, but if you don't have the right admin, something is going to get stuck. For us as an example, and probably I'm going to harp a little bit on the tax process, just because I'll say it's just one of those things that we know is a problem and has quite dire consequences. But we have a dedicated email where our tax correspondent comes in. We have a dedicated person that checks it to make sure that it's disseminated to the people or the team who needs to deal with it. Because if you don't have that kind of processing, let's say there's a matter that needs to be dealt with and no one's picked it up, those consequences will kick in. So for us, when we have a look at our administration, doesn't matter which part of the business it is in, it really is important to have that kind of support. And that is what's going to make sure that you are successful. That means that you can actually spend the time where you need to, and then go and grow and hopefully get more clients and yeah, have a better practice. But if you don't have that admin process, you can go and get as many clients as you want. They probably won't be serviced.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the example of the email inbox, it's so quick for that email inbox to just fill up with a ton of emails.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any kind of process like that dedicated inbox just for tax emails, how are you actually going to sift through all of those and find what you're looking for and find it in time as well?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So if you were to give advice to a young accounting professional or really any accounting professional who maybe thinks that admin isn't so important, what would you say to them?
So you're never going to not have admin. And I think the more you climb the ladder, the more the admin comes in. But you really do need to make sure that that process is right. And if you start in the beginning and you start to practice those skills, you can continue to develop them and enhance them and make it better. So when I look at administration, I always say, well, what is the process? What is the right process to support the function within the business? Then who is the right person to fulfill the role? I know I do not have time to do everything, and you need to actually be bold enough to say, I can't do everything. So who can support me in doing what I need to do? do they have the right skills? Do they have the right personality? Do they have the will to do the role? Because not everyone wants to do that either. Then you delegate. And again, let the person do it. Yes, you're not going to lose control because ultimately you are responsible, but you need to do it in such a way that you can trust the individual and let them shine, let them use their skills, but check in on a regular basis. I think we've got so many tools that are available these days. You really can, you don't have to have the manually written to-do list anymore, even though it's quite cool, I must tell you. I still quite like them from time to time.
Nice to cross it off.
It is such a good feeling to cross it off. But there are tools that can help you in the administration function to make it efficient, which creates time, which create capacity, which we all know is what we need. And then check in regularly. Make sure that everyone is okay with what they are doing, and is there anything that needs to be done to reprioritize? I always say to my team is rather tell me all the information, tell me what you're not managing, because then I can help you make the decision as to what needs to be done first. And it's like literally a 5-minute discussion. It's not even that. So rather take that time, reprioritize, and get the right people to do the job.
Yeah, definitely. Then I guess looking forward a bit into the future, how do you see the role of administration evolving as the industry becomes more tech-driven? I mean, you're already saying we have all of these different tools that can help us with admin. Do you see that changing a lot, or just kind of keeping going as it has been?
I feel we do need to change a little bit how we deal with our admin tasks. We internally are looking at what we can do in terms of automation. So are there tasks that can be automated in the process, which will rather give us the time to review than doing?
Right.
I would rather have that as the focus is again, it's like if you have management accounts, if the person is preparing the management accounts, if they don't have the capacity to step back and have a look at it, they're not going to see something that they've missed potentially because they're so deep in it. So if we can really get those mundane administration tasks automated or done more efficiently, that will then just give us time to actually focus on things that are meaningful, impactful, and can be a real contribution to the practice.
Definitely. So moving over from really being stuck in all the details to just being at the review side and then being able to refocus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any tools that you use that you think are sort of non-negotiables that you couldn't picture your day without?
As I said, maybe the pen and notebook, but that's there we go. But a project manager, a task manager, for me that is really important. It's just really nice to be able to keep track. Even if it's done on Excel. Excel's got some great features that are coming through now. I love that little checkbox function on the Excel Online. I think it is really, really cool. But those kind of things you need to have a look at. Adobe Pro for me has been quite a game changer, and just being able to send out documents or for signature or whatever it is. We even playing a little bit with the AI assistant on Adobe Pro, which is quite fun.
Cool.
And Power Automate. So again, that's a space we're starting to play in a little bit. I've got colleagues that really do love using things like Power BI and that in some of their tools that they use. And if I look at from an accounting perspective, Xero obviously is great. Just what it does, and we talk about admin. Okay, I do like reconciling the bank accounts on Xero because it's just so fun. But yeah, you've got those tools, Xero, HubDoc, and then and looking at Swift. I mean, we got to mention you guys and the great tool that you provide.
Thanks. Awesome. But it was funny that you start with the pen and paper and how nice it is to cross something out, and then check boxes in Excel. It's a simple I see the appeal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me is it's always good to have all these tools. But one thing we forget about our to-do list is actually to sit back and say, well, what have we done in addition to our to-do list that wasn't actually on the to-do list, and add those, and add them and tick them and cross them off, whatever you need to do. It's really
I should
cool.
do that. I feel like I always have a to-do list and I leave half the things off and then I spend time doing those and it looks like I haven't done anything. Quickly go
Exactly.
other things
Just
in that I
go.
have been doing.
Yeah, exactly. It just gives you such a great sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. Um, what are some of the potential administrative challenges that you anticipate as the cloud accounting space continues to grow in the future?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and especially the more information that is actually moving out to the cloud. First and foremost, we've got to look at data security. It's something that you have to be really mindful of. I mean, today I got another phishing, one of many phishing emails and phishing and whatever. So that really is out there, and is to be aware of it. And what does it mean? What does it look like? And how do you protect that sensitive data? Then connectivity, and the one, I'll say, challenge that we definitely will have is by really moving away from those legacy systems into the cloud, is that if you don't have connectivity, you ain't going to be working.
You're not going to be able to use it.
Not at all, not at all. So I think that is definitely something that we need to make sure that we do have access to a good and stable internet connection. Then managing compliance, that I believe is just going to continue growing. So whether it's the featuring story or the SAR story or in the assurance space, Sub-C, I mean, we've seen what's happened this year with the beneficial ownership registers and things that have been submitted. So how are you managing that? And how is that cloud-based? And how would that then integrate within your other systems within the space? And then I think the apps that you choose, there really are just so many apps that are available. You don't have to go and pick every app and try every app out. It really is about making, I would say, be discerning about the apps that you're choosing, what makes sense to your business, to your client's business, to your tasks that you've got to do, and create efficiencies. You don't want to create more admin because you've now got so many apps. So that's definitely something that you definitely need to look at. And probably, besides data security being on the one side of being most important, so the other side of being most important is the training.
Yeah.
So how are you encouraging your staff to get into the space, this new way of working, the changes that are coming through? How do you encourage them to adopt the changes and make sure they're on board with the changes that you're bringing? And then obviously give them the right training and the right support. And that's not going to stop. That is going to be continued, because again, you're going to be checking in. How's it going? What are your shortcomings? Why don't you understand? What do we need to train? Let's train, implement, and that cycle will keep on going.
Definitely. And on the note of data security, training your staff in how to keep all of their different apps that they're using, all of that secure. That's a big.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was quite interesting. I was at our Xero Worldwide conference in Rome a few months back, and we had a guy who's very big in the data security space, and he said, training staff via emails, like you send out a pretend phishing email, so that doesn't actually work. But it's about the communication. It's about the constant reminder. It's, yes, what does it look like? But you need to be aware. These things are changing all the time. So and encourage, and I think that again, where communication comes in, and that being accessible, allow staff to ask you the question, to check in, is this okay to do or not to do, or to click or not to click, or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Being able to have that communication and that transparency so that they feel comfortable to ask, is this actually okay? Is this safe for me to do? I don't want to seem stupid,
Absolutely. Yeah,
let me
absolutely.
check this.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Um, I've got a few rapid fire questions to end off the podcast with. It's
Brilliant.
something we've just introduced, which I thought was quite fun. So the first one is, what piece of software, I have to say besides Sift, what piece of software do you feel you can't live without?
Oh, that was that's quite tough because I really like Swift. But I must say HubDoc. HubDoc is really cool. I love HubDoc. So that's probably something that I really do enjoy and wouldn't live without. So that would be definitely top on the list for me.
And what's the best book that you've read recently?
So I must admit that I'm definitely more of a fictional reader,
Me
especially
too.
just for downtime and relaxing.
Yeah.
There was a great book that I read recently, which is called The London Bookshop Affair. It's by Louise Fine. I really enjoyed that. It's weird. This year I seem to have read so many books about bookshops in various
Oh,
states and forms,
interesting.
but this one was definitely one of my favorites.
Oh, awesome. I must check it out. I'm also a big fiction reader.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you'll definitely enjoy it.
Cool. Um, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned about building a business?
So for me personally, it's okay to make a mistake and not get it right the first time, but it really is about what you take away from that experience. How do you learn from the experience? How do you grow from the experience? And how do you do it better next time? And with that, you can then share that experience with others that they hopefully will also learn and grow and not repeat the error.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really valuable lesson. And the last question, which is maybe the most difficult one, gotta end off with something a little out there. But if there's one thing that listeners take away from today's podcast, what would you want them to take away?
Sure, that is a challenging question, but for me, in order to make sure that you manage the business and you build your business, you need to get the admin side right. But to do that, you need to build the right team around you, the team that's going to give you the right support so that you can do what you need to do. And what are you passionate about? For me, I'm really passionate about servicing our clients and the cloud space and building all of that. But you want to grow that, and you can only do that when you've got the right team and the right support around you.
Yeah, definitely. I think people are so important. They make such a big difference.
Huge. Yeah. And I appreciate everyone on my team.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on the Beyond Insights podcast, Sue. Thank you to everyone who has been watching.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great, and I hope there is some valuable takeaway from this, and keep growing and keeping amazing.
Okay, thank you, and you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast. Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now. And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast. That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.